I was holding my daughter's hand, and I turned to count my students. Suddenly, my daughter let go of my hand, jumped on the train, and the doors began to close. As the train gathered speed, I ran alongside, trying to force the door open. My last image, before the train completely pulled out of my sight, was of my daughter, her tear-streaked face, her fists pounding on the glass, and a young man, completely dressed in black leather, with a spiked dog collar around his neck, rising from his seat and moving towards her. Then the train was gone. My students gathered silently in a clump while I searched for an official. I was so shocked, too frightened to cry, when suddenly one of my students appeared at my shoulder. "She's back," she said. I turned and there she was, my little girl. The man in leather had seen what had happened, and at the next stop, he got my daughter off the train and brought her back to me. My preconceived notion that he was frightening was destroyed. I remember looking up at him and then breaking down, sobbing, hugging my sobbing child. When I looked up again to thank him, he was gone. For weeks afterwards, I would break into
The weather outside of Hunamiet.
See what I tell you about people just because of looks?
Yeah, I know. Joey,
What?
I'm 70 years old. I come from a Orthodox conservative family. Alright? You see people that look like that when I was a teenager.
Yeah, I went to watch the championships last year downtown, and I was coming out of Monarch Market, and guess who helped me across the street?
A homeless person.
Yep.
And one day you took a cab from Governor Moorhead to the train, and the son of a bitch tried to charge you $15.
Yep.
What does that tell you?
What does that have to do with homeless people?
Same thing.
People who you would think would be good sometimes.
Turn out to be shit, and people who look like shit turn out to be good.
Yep. Didn't I tell you, what did I tell you when you were talking about Crazy Horse? You say it looked like a dump. I said, ooh, the Takewas Velos effect. It's going to be fun.
I remember you saying that.
And who ended up being right?
Hey, I'm going straight ahead because the 485 gets full.
Coming up on tomorrow's Morning Edition, President Trump promised many fixes for day one of his second term. He vowed to sign lots of executive actions, from fortifying the border to upending government diversity programs. The president's first day back in the White House. That and more tomorrow on Morning Edition from 5 until 9. You can listen on the radio or live stream it at WFAE.org. Support comes from WFAE listeners and Mecklenburg County Solid Waste. This winter, Mecklenburg County's recycling centers offer 100% organic compost and mulch to help residents replenish and protect their soil. More information at meckmulchmadness.com. This is 90.7 WFAE Charlotte, 90.3 WFHE Hickory, and WFAE.org, Charlotte's NPR news source. It's 6 o'clock.
With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense.
President Trump's first day back in the White House brings a blizzard of executive actions from immigration to energy policy.
For Monday, January 20th, this is All Things Considered from NPR News.
I'm Ari Shapiro.
And I'm Elsie Chang. This hour, Joe Biden issued a bunch of preemptive pardons on his way out of the White House.
We'll explain who was on the list and why.
Also, here in Los Angeles, a teenager is helping classmates and others who lost everything in the wildfires.
Every girl that walks in, they get a professional stylist to come and help them rebuild their wardrobe.
Plus, the artist Yola on her new album, My Way.
I'm going to have to find a way to get you to act in a way that does not massively violate all of my boundaries.
And a recap of the weekend's NFL playoff games.
Those stories and more after this news.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. Donald Trump was sworn in as the 47th President of the United States today. As NPR's Barbara Spun explains, the inauguration ceremony took place inside the U.S. Capitol instead of the traditional West Front due to frigid temperatures.
President Trump marked his historic comeback in an inaugural address that strongly resembled his campaign speeches, where he listed a litany of grievances about the previous administration and promised to restore American greatness. He spoke about the failed assassination attempt in July during a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania.
But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
Trump called the election a mandate for his agenda and said he will declare a national emergency on the southern border and deport millions of immigrants without legal status. He also said he will impose tariffs on foreign goods and expand U.S. drilling. Barbara Sprent, NPR News, Washington.
Trump plans to take scores of executive actions today, including 10 related to immigration. NPR's Joel Rose reports that's according to a call with incoming White House officials this morning.
The Trump administration is expected to declare a national emergency at the southern border. Incoming White House officials say that would allow the administration to deploy members of the armed forces and National Guard to the border. The incoming officials say the White House also intends to end birthright citizenship and close the border to anyone without legal status, including people seeking asylum. Those are among the most ambitious proposals, which are all but certain to be challenged in court. Trump also plans to bring back some policies from his first term, restarting border wall construction, pausing refugee resettlement, and reinstating Remain in Mexico, which forced asylum seekers to wait south of the border while their claims are adjudicated. Joel Rose, NPR News, Washington.
Trump is attending what's billed as an indoor parade at this hour at the Capital One Arena in Washington, where he's expected to sign more executive actions in front of supporters. A new lawsuit filed against President Trump claims his so-called Department of Government Efficiency violates federal transparency rules. That's the newly created group headed by Tesla CEO Elon Musk, whose mission is to revamp the federal government. More from NPR's Andrea Hsu.
The lawsuit was brought by two public interest nonprofits and a union representing some 800,000 government employees. It argues that Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE, is not in fact a government agency, but a kind of advisory committee tasked with recommending drastic cuts to government agencies and programs. The plaintiffs note that under federal law, such committees must have a, quote, fair balance in viewpoints represented, and that the work must be made available for public inspection. The lawsuit asks that DOGE be blocked from operating until those requirements are met. Andrea Hsu, NPR News.
U.S. financial markets are closed for the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. You're listening to NPR News in Washington.
This is WFAE News. I'm Nick Della Canal. North Carolina's elected representatives are welcoming President Trump into his second term. Republican North Carolina Senators Thom Tillis and Ted Budd are congratulating Trump on his second inauguration and say they are ready to work on implementing his agenda. North Carolina Democrat Don Davis of Wilmington has also released a statement extending congratulations and saying he's dedicated to working with the new administration. Democrat Deborah Ross is calling on constituents to reaffirm their stand against discrimination and recommit to the fight for progress. Sports betting has been legal in North Carolina for less than a year, but wager tax revenues have already brought in millions for the state's public universities. 13 university athletic departments received over $1.6 million each from taxes collected from sports betting operators last year. This is nearly every public university in the state, excluding only NC State, the UNC School of the Arts, and UNC Chapel Hill. Etienne Thomas is Winston-Salem State's athletics director. She says the additional funds will go toward essential facility upgrades for the HBCU's basketball, tennis, and softball teams.
For smaller schools, having access to these resources has been very critical. From a facility standpoint, you want to have, the best facilities you can have, and not just those that you patchwork together.
In total, over $21 million of sports betting tax revenue has been sent to public universities across the state. Forecasters are warning of dangerously cold temperatures in the Charlotte region tonight through Thursday. Temperatures could remain near or below freezing tomorrow and Wednesday, with temperatures falling into the teens at night. There's also a slight chance of snow Tuesday night, with little to no accumulation expected. Homeless shelters are expanding capacity, and outreach teams are visiting homeless encampments to pass out extra blankets and encourage people to seek shelter. Right now in Charlotte, we've got fair skies and 31 degrees. A cold weather advisory will be in effect tonight, with lows forecast near 16 degrees. And
That's
tomorrow,
racist.
increasing clouds, high near 33. This is WFAE News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include American Jewish World Service, committed to the fight for human rights, supporting advocates and grassroots organizations worldwide working towards democracy, equity, and justice at ajws.org.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Elsa Chang in Culver City, California.
And I'm Ari Shapiro in Washington, where this afternoon it became official. President Trump was sworn into office. He took the oath for the second time, becoming the 47th president, and he vowed to immediately get to work.
Today I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense.
Trump has promised a barrage of executive action covering immigration, the federal workforce, the economy, and more. This is a dramatic move straight out of the gate, reflecting Trump's desire to make the most of these critical first few months in office. NPR White House correspondent Franco Ordonez is at the White House, where Trump is expected to sign most of these actions. Hi, Franco.
Hey, Ari.
What more can you tell us about the executive actions he's expected to sign?
Yeah, we're expecting he'll sign some at the Capitol, Capital One Arena, where he's meeting with supporters very, very shortly. But there are dozens in play today, as many as 100 to 200, according to some accounts. They fall largely in three buckets: border security, energy, and government reform. He's basically sweeping aside many of President Biden's policies, reinstating those from his first term in office, and then going much, much further. He's also saying that he's going to pardon at least some of those arrested for their role in the riot at the Capitol on January 6, 2021.
The big focus here, obviously, is immigration. We'll be talking about that and more.
You want me to help you carry anything in?
Yep.
What you want?
Your,
It's cold as hell.
I think I want you to take me in. Stay right here. Let's see. Well, how about just your Tostitos and your corn raisins? 'Cause
Okay.
It's not in a bag.
Okay. That'll wake. I know. Yeah, hold on a minute. Put my cane up. Huh?
So heavy it hurts my knee.
Oh, sorry, Daddy.
Joey. Don't worry about it.
I know, but who's gonna drink those Cokes? Huh?
I need a favor. Open the door to your room.
Okay.
I can bring this in and cut it open. It's a big ass bottle, okay?
Oh, like,
This year, Lionel Trains celebrates 125 years of bringing joy to families everywhere. Since 1900, Lionel has been a cherished part of Cuban tradition, creating unforgettable memories with their iconic model trains. Whether you're a lifelong collector or just starting out, Lionel Trains are still the perfect way to connect generations and spark imagination. Join Lionel in celebrating 125 years of magic and memories today at the Lionel store on I-85 in Concord Mills. For store hours, visit LionelConcord.com.
With Clorox, clean feels satisfying. Clean feels good. Use as directed. You've heard that saying, there's a time for everything. Well, now's the time.